in place to keep us in chains. By show of hands, who else is sick and tired of the same 1%? Trying to keep us small, trying to keep us from getting out. Minimizing the struggles they've caused, saying we're not working hard enough.
Ladies and gentlemen, for the thousands in attendance and for the millions watching at home, DCK Productions proudly brings to you the greatest podcast in the world! The greatest podcast in the world? Suck it. No, you suck it. No, you suck it. No, you suck it. No, you suck it. I appreciate it if you both suck it. Suck it!
We really should stop this fighting. Otherwise we'll miss the fireworks.
There won't be any fireworks.
And here we go.
Hey, my computer just froze on me, so give me a second here. I don't know what the hell just happened. Hold on a second. I'm on my phone. I don't know what happened. My computer just completely took a shit. So just kind of bear with me a moment here. I do apologize. Simon, I know you're there, so just kind of chill out for a second. I do apologize. All right, just hold on one second here. Probably have to take myself off here and start over, but luckily I'm on my phone, so. You know, figures on a Monday. This is what happens. But welcome to Second Podcast. On a night where apparently my computer hates me. So, but I'm here. I'm live. I'm trying to be at least. All right, I'm about to shut down my computer. Straight back up. So anyway, while I'm doing that, how's everybody enjoying their day? How was everybody's weekend? We lost Chadwick Boseman. That sucks. Bad. Dealt with cancer for however many years, you know, did countless movies while battling cancer. And, you know, gave us some of the best performances of his life. That's just, it's crazy to me. We lost him. I hope Disney and Marvel do not replace him as Black Panther. I hope they go the Shuri route instead. But either way, that's the least of my concerns. I mean, we lost a great actor, a great activist, just a great man, a man that showed, and this is a quote from something I read, you know, millions of little, you know, Black boys and girls that they could be a king or queen. And that's just, you know, Black Panther had a lot of implications on the world, and he will be sorely missed. Yeah, just really badly, just really, really badly. But anyway, it's Monday. I'm here fresh off of a 22-hour stream this morning. I'm still waiting for my computer to reboot. I don't know what happened. I do apologize. But while we're waiting on my computer to reboot, might as well not keep my guest waiting for too long. figures again. This is what happens. I did a 22-hour stream this morning, and my computer was working fine. Did an update before I took my nap, and I come back and it just took a shit. But either way, I'm gonna go ahead and bring on my guest. A man that was inspired by Eric Clapton and has done a lot of cool stuff. And I'm really excited to talk to him. I don't want to talk to him from my phone, but I want to talk to him. So while I'm waiting for my computer to boot up here, without further ado, please welcome to the show, Mr. Simon Lunche. Hey, bud.
Hey, that was quite an intro. No worries about the phone. You look great. You sound great. I think we're set. I think this is how it's supposed to be.
I hit the intro, and all of a sudden, my screen never did anything. I heard the music in the background, and I'm like, what is going on? And then I look at my other computer next to me, and I see it playing, and I'm looking at my TV in front of me. I can see it playing. I'm like, what's going on here?
Oh, man.
But anyway, how are you, bud?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm just enjoying. I'm in California, so there's fires everywhere, and obviously coronavirus. And I'm trying to enjoy my time inside as much as possible. I think as the days go on, I'm just getting better at it. So I'm honestly doing pretty damn good. How about yourself?
I've been better today.
Yeah, I'm very familiar with computer troubles. You're talking to a guy that sits on Pro Tools, 12 hours a day and has computers crap out all the time. It's a thing.
I've only had the computer for like 4 months, and it's a $2,000 gaming computer.
Oh man,
it does this to me all the time. If I don't shut it down all the way and then leave it, then come back a few hours later, it just kind of glitches on me.
Oh God, yeah, it's the worst. It's the worst. But like I said, you look great. You sound great. We're rolling.
Yeah, it'd be better if I had my nice 4K webcam going on.
Of course.
But Samsung makes a great camera phone, so hey, whatever, it works.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. If anything, you're looking better than I am right now, and I'm using the computer.
Well, I still have my lights in the background. I still have my whole stream set up, but
yeah, I was gonna say the room is vibed out. I love it.
Yeah, it's nice. So hopefully it's going to come back up here now. So tell me a little bit about yourself, man. I mean, you've got a pretty cool story. You were inspired by Eric Clapton, and then started your own group, and now you're going solo. So talk about that a little bit here.
Yeah. I mean, when I think I was 6 years old, I was sitting in the car on the way to the farmer's market, which was like on Tuesdays. My parents would pick me up from elementary school, and we would go to the farmer's market right away. And they would always, put CDs in. And one of those days they put in, it was like an Eric Clapton compilation CD. And I heard him, like a lot of people, heard him playing the guitar and was just like, oh my God, that's amazing. And it was, I had heard like a lot of like, sort of like more shredding guitar before, and like really fast playing. And for some reason, it was the slow hand. It was the feel that connected with me. So I heard that and I was like, I want to play electric guitar. So for, I think probably a week later, I was in guitar lessons, and I started with classical, like a lot of people, and totally hated that. And, and finally got an electric guitar and like, just started writing songs. And, I think, just song after song. Now I'm here, and obviously, like you said, having a band for many years and having some nice little successes with the band. And then when I realized like, oh, most people, need to go to college and want to go to college and don't want to miss that. Me coming out of high school, that was what spurred me sort of doing my own solo thing, since I was already writing and producing most everything for the band, which was called the Blondies, by the way. Yep. And we had about a 10-year stint. I just, I felt like, I got to be able to tour. I got to be able to go to the studio whenever I need to, if I'm not going to be in school. And a lot of the other guys who I'm still great friends with, I was just talking to one a few minutes ago, really wanted to finish out college. So, now I've started on my own journey, and now I'm here, and it's so far been it's been laborious, but really awesome. I'm really glad to be doing my own thing now. I think there's a lot more sort of freedom involved in it. So
yeah. I mean, the freedom of going solo, is pretty cool. I mean, you get to choose who you tour with, or who you want in the studio with you, and so on and so forth. You need to listen to other people's outside opinions, but in the end, it's ultimately your decision.
Yeah, totally. I mean, unfortunately, like I haven't been able to experience the touring thing as much. I had, I just finished my record up. I think it was about 3-4 months ago, and literally I had one of the last sessions at Westlake in LA before they just closed it down, and there was wouldn't let anyone in there, and obviously the whole COVID thing started, and I had all these gigs planned for April, and all of that got shut down. So point being, the place that I've really experienced the freedom of being solo so far has been in the studio, and it's been awesome. Just like when you're in a band, you have to, the keyboard player always plays the keyboards, and the lead guitarist always plays that part, and you don't have flexibility there. Whereas now I can choose sort of on a song by song basis, like whether it's maybe I'm playing all the instruments on a song, or I can have this drummer on this tune because he's great at that thing, it's more of a soul thing, or this bassist on this tune when it's more of a pop thing, and that I think just like it just contributes to the overall sound turning out that much tighter, which has been a real positive for me. So yeah, the freedom's been awesome.
Now, do you want to eventually have a permanent backing band with you, or you want to continually have a rotating door if you're constantly collaborating with a lot of different other people?
I think for live especially, it'd be great to have like a constant group of guys, because you form that like connection on stage, where it's really, when it's really rocking, it's going well. And like when you're just comfortable with people, especially for someone like me who like, I love to go off on like a, oh, there's the computer. Look at that.
Yep.
Boom. Amazing. I love to go off on like, sometimes a 5-minute solo tangent on my guitar, and it's awesome to have people who are like ready to do that with me and who I am musically super compatible with and comfortable with. But in the studio, I think it's nice to be able to rotate, and be able to learn from other people and be able to play with other people. That stuff's like, I mean, I've just learned so much from that. So yeah, I think for live it's one thing, but for the studio, definitely just being able to have different people to call, different people who you trust, who are great at what they do is such a plus,
Yeah, oh, absolutely. I mean, like one of my favorite musicians, Cory Taylor, just released his very first solo album after 20 years with Slipknot and however many years with Stone Sour. And he said that, I read an interview with it today, and he was talking about how it was the most fun that he's had recording a record since the first Slipknot album in '99.
Yeah.
And he was just like, he was sick and tired of having to, his exact words were, sick and tired of having to deal with the same miserable motherfuckers every day.
Yep.
So that made me think of like, who's he talking about in the band that's just a miserable motherfucker? But I'm like, I'm pretty sure he said that to whoever that is his face,
Oh, I'm sure. I would hope so. I mean, if you're saying it publicly like that, I would hope the person would have heard it.
Yeah, I mean, at that point in time, though, I mean, if there's hatred in the band, I think at that point you stop doing it for the the love of it, and you start doing it just for the fans and for the money and stuff like that. Yeah. So I mean, I think whatever this is, whether it's Aerosmith or whether it's Metallica or whatever the case might be, after being together, longer than some families, eventually you just need that kind of break. And that's why so many, metal artists and, rock artists, go solo at some point in time in their career, just to break free and be able to be more creative.
Yeah, totally. I would totally agree. I mean, for me, in my case, there was no bad blood between anyone, in the band and me. I feel like we all jive really well and we had a good thing, but it is just like, it's nice. Like I said, like I got infinitely better as a guitar player, I think, when I, took on that responsibility of I'm going to play lead guitar and I'm going to go into the studio with, this person one day and the another person the next day, and I just have to be ready for that, because you get sort of comfortable with people and you start maybe pulling some punches or taking a safer route, or just not pushing yourself as much.
Exactly. Another example of that, especially with the guitar thing, was I read an interview a year or two ago with the lead guitarist of Avenged Sevenfold, Sinister Gates.
Yeah.
Who is probably one of the greatest musicians, one of the greatest guitarists of our generation. Dude is just stellar. But he said in his interview that he would probably be even better if he wasn't with Avenged Sevenfold.
Yeah.
And that's a true statement. And it's nothing against the band. It's just the fact that, there's limitations working with other people. There's a comfortability factor, like you said, and not being able to really go outside that box sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just can't explore like another space, I mean, for me, like I was the rhythm guitar player in the band, and although I wrote all the songs, and although, I was producing a lot of it, because I was the rhythm guitar player, I just wasn't pushing myself at all. I wasn't taking any sort of responsibility to write myself any licks, or like, I think I would maybe take a solo, like is what makes it happen,
Yeah.
At least, for me, just not having someone else, now it's like, you don't have a rhythm, you don't have a lead guitar player, I guess you got to do it,
Yeah.
Which is awesome.
So now that you're, getting to write your own, solos and all this other stuff, I mean, now that you're not having somebody else to lean on, is that scary at all? I know you said it was, but
terrifying. It's still terrifying. I mean, like, I think half of the solos that I'm doing, especially live, I mean, even in the studio, actually, like, I'm just going for, my compass is really just whatever I'm feeling at that moment and whatever energy is sort of circulating the room. I oftentimes don't write solos in their entirety just because I don't think that they turn out as well.
Oh, of course not.
So, it's especially if there's like, I've had the situation in the studio, and if there's someone there that I really want to impress, or, if, live, obviously it's just like, it's even more unforgiving. There's a million people in the audience. If you hit a wrong note, you're gonna, it's going to be on, the camera phone forever. But it's terrifying. And like, I think for me, like the thing that I'm getting better at is just sort of like relaxing into it and sort of almost just being more introverted about it. And like for that moment that I'm taking the solo or that I'm doing that thing, it's just me and the guitar, and I'm just sitting in my living room. Like, I think that's when I play my best guitar, is just sitting in the living room with my amplifier. So in those situations, I just try and like channel that sort of thing and relax.
Yeah, I mean, especially when it comes to writing a solo, because I'm a guitarist as well. But I was always the rhythm guy. I was never good at, fast picking the solos. I'm the rhythm guy.
Yeah, no,
which is fine.
I can't fast pick at all. That's not.
I'm definitely no Kirk Hammett of Metallica or Sinister Gates. I mean, the quick pick is. Because along with the quick pick, you're also plucking with your fingers and say. I mean, I've watched. Speaking of Kurt Hammett, I mean, I watched. They did a zoomed in shot of his hands while he was playing, and they shot it like 240 frames per second, slowed it way down, and I mean, it's like. I don't get it.
Yeah,
it's just superhuman
madness. Yeah,
I mean, especially at his age. I mean, God, he's almost 60, and he's still. I don't get it.
Yeah. I mean, me neither.
Yeah, I mean that quick pick is just whew.
That's something that I can't. I mean, I can't even aspire to be that, because I know that it's never going to be my thing. It's never going to be my thing. I've tried. And it's, I leave it, every day you go on Instagram and you see someone doing some stuff like that, even crazier. I leave that thing to them, man. Like I've found that with guitar, my realm is definitely that place where it's like, it's just about the emotion. It's just about whatever it is I'm feeling at that point. However, I can like almost vocalize with the instrument rather than trying to do something totally technically impressive. Cause I'm never going to be that guy.
Yeah, but I think, even, coming from a rhythm guitarist point of view, when a rhythm guitarist puts together a solo, I think it is more technically sound because it's more about the artistry behind it. Now granted, a solo, from an actual, lead guitarist, is full of technically sound stuff. However, it can change from show to show to show because they're trying to tweak it all the time.
Totally.
But you're going to hear with a rhythm guitarist that does it, they're going to do it more identically to the,
to the record,
all the time. And it's going to sound, just like you're listening to the record live.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know, which way is better. I know that I cannot do the lead guitar solos. So I'm right there with you. I mean, I've tried. It's like, I mean, it's just, it's no.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm a fine improviser. I can't shred like that, like I can't get caught in a place where I'm like, and my mind's going, all right, this lick is going to be, this is going to be a shred lick coming up. I can't get caught in that spot because I'm just not going to execute. That's when I fall flat on my face on stage. I got to stay.
I mean, there are some like really, extremely gifted guitarists and, especially nowadays.
Yeah.
Like, for example, his name is Claudio Sanchez from Coheed and Cambria. That guy goes up on stage with a double guitar sometimes, and will go back and forth and just I mean, some of the stuff that people can pull off is just ridiculous. Or like
madness.
On the last Avenged Sevenfold record, on the song The Stage, Sinister Gates goes back and forth between an electric and acoustic, and he makes his acoustic sound electric, and it's like, how do you even pull that off?
It's crazy. It's the fingers. It's all in the fingers.
It
you
is.
Keep learning that. Like I think when you're younger, like everyone's like, man, like what guitar do you use? Like what amp? And then you realize it's just like, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't.
Great guitar player can make any fucking sound off of one instrument.
Oh, absolutely. One thing I found interesting about you and, a lot of guitarists, because I can't stand it, is the guitar that you use, a 65 Strat.
Oh, mine's a 56.
56 Strat. I'm sorry, I had it backwards. Even older. But I do not like Strat.
I used to be in that boat. I totally get you. I think what happened for me, because I used to be a Gibson artist, so I would just play Gibsons. I would play a Les Paul, and that was my rhythm guitar. I think the Strat, there's a way that you play a Strat that you don't play any other guitar, at least for me. And I remember one of my good buddies had a really old Strat. His was a 55. It was a hardtail. And I remember asking like if I could use it for a song on a recording, and I played this guitar. And just is the neck shape, it's got this like slight V. It's a little bit thinner from that era that like, it just pulled something out of me. All of a sudden I'm like trying to reach my thumb over, and like something, it's hard. It's like this intangible thing, but right. Like I just felt like I was a little bit more articulate. And obviously, those sort of out of phase positions too, that you don't get in the same way on other guitars. But I would have, if you had told me like 3 or 4 years ago that I'd only be playing a Stratocaster, like I would have been like, you're fucking crazy. And now it's become such a thing for me. I just, pretty much everything that I do on the guitar feels like it came from this, not only the Stratocaster now, but this particular Stratocaster that I happened to buy. Like I genuinely don't think that I would be as good of a guitar player had I not started playing this particular guitar, because it just willed something out of me. I just connected with it.
Yeah, for me it was complete opposite. I started on a Fender. That was my first guitar ever. I learned. So I never learned. I was never classically trained.
Yeah.
I picked up in 90. When did I start? 94, 95. I grabbed the Pearl Jam 10 album. And learned to play by listening to Jeremy and Even Flow and stuff like that over and over and over again. And then when I started getting into the harder stuff, like, Metallica and, stuff like that, I could never get that same raw grinding sound, especially from the quick finger notes where you're just, meddling it out.
Yeah.
So I moved to the Gibson, and that's when I was able to find that sound. And then then Ibanez as well. So
Yeah.
Gibson and Ibanez, is what because I mean, like I said, those quick finger notes that are made for metal, especially when you're just constantly, each one is just a constant, boom, 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 boom. I could never get that with the Strat, and I just never liked it.
I could, I totally agree that the Strat's definitely not made for that thing at all. So if I was playing that kind of stuff, I'd totally ditch it. And for me, like, it's funny. When I was younger, obviously I came from a place of obviously where you've migrated to now of like the Ibanezes and the Gibsons and like, I always loved them. Like like I said, I never would have imagined I would have played anything else. And it's just like, sometimes it's unpredictable, right? Like you pick up a guitar and you just start doing something a little bit different and it might feel just that much more you, or just like a little bit, more interesting than maybe something you were able to do on another instrument. And that's what happened to me. It totally caught me off guard, like don't get me wrong, I have nothing against the Gibsons or the Ibanezes. I love those instruments and I still play them. But that guitar definitely, like, it just changed me as a player. All of a sudden I felt more myself.
Yeah.
And I felt more, like I said, I mean, I started playing guitar because of Clapton, and obviously he played that beautiful 56 Strat as well. But
still does.
Right. Yeah. I mean, for God's sake, I remember looking at a picture, like it wasn't even of him. It's just when I was younger, in the booklet of this record, and it's just a picture of the guitar, sitting there on the amp, and I'm sitting there looking at like, holy shit, that's the coolest thing ever.
Yeah.
Like, how can I get that? But yeah, I mean, even so, never would have imagined, and it just willed something out of me, and now I just can't go back.
Yeah. I mean, I was never the biggest Clapton fan.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, like I said, I'm a big metal guy.
Yeah.
But I mean, the way he plays is, especially back in the day before he went solo, when he was with Derek and the Dominoes, like Layla and stuff like that. I mean, the original tune to Layla is just sick.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God, especially the solo in that thing. I mean, it's crazy. But I mean, I'll never forget, because I actually was like, I'm going to sit down and watch it because it's a legend just doing it. Back in the 90s when he did MTV Unplugged.
Yeah. That's a great performance.
Oh my God. I mean, it really was.
Performance.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I'm not a Clapton fan. But he absolutely killed that performance.
Yeah.
I mean, that's one of the greatest performances I've ever seen in my entire life.
Yeah, I mean, that whole version even of Layla, right? That's on acoustic guitar that just totally changes the song. And you're like, it's a totally different thing, and it's just as amazing. Which
actually,
is so cool.
I think it's more amazing because he changed it from this iconic rock, machine song from the 70s to this 80s, hair metal type love ballad, but acoustically, and he completely changed the whole vibe of the song. And that's what's great about, acoustic versions of songs. I'm on a big acoustic kick as far as like some of my bands that I've listened to, doing stuff differently with, their old stuff and then recreating it as acoustic stuff. It just changes the whole feel of a song. Like,
totally.
Are you familiar with the band Falling in Reverse?
No, I'm not.
All right, so their lead singer, his name is Ronnie Radke, and they released a song a couple years back called "The Drug in Me Is You," and it's just a typical, punk, rock, / metal, vibe song. It's just really, really fucking cool. And then back in February, they re-released it as a piano / acoustic song. And
I love it.
It just completely changed everything about the song. And now you listen to the words, you listen to the sound of it all, and it's just it has a completely different meaning.
Yeah,
And
totally.
And it's amazing.
Totally.
Yeah, I mean, I am a big fan of that kind of stuff. When I hear a song that I really, really love, and then even if it's done as a cover,
Yeah.
and somebody does it with, someone does it acoustically just to, change it up, I'm just flabbergasted. I really am.
I mean, that goes to show you, right? Just like the importance of production and production style in a song, and how much just like changing the arrangement a little bit or changing the production a little bit can totally affect how you feel about a tune or the song's meaning, which I just think is freaking awesome. And that just goes to show why people, search for so long for the puzzle, the pieces to come together in the right way for a song to sort of form in its finished recorded state.
Yeah. By the way, we just got a comment in the comments that said, "If I close my eyes, it sounds like I'm talking to Michael Cera, the actor." And I'm like, "Oh, wait a second, you do sound,
That's hilarious.
You sound like
hilarious.
Michael Cera."
I can't do my talking voice. Like everyone, you hear your talking voice, and you're like, "Oh, turn it off." That's fucking funny though. I've never once heard that.
You've never heard that you sound like Michael Cera?
Oh no, I mean, honestly, that it could be a lot worse than that, in my opinion. So
It could be.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a cult movie classic. I mean, especially with that one movie. What's it? Somebody Takes Over the World, whatever it's called.
Yeah. Scott Pilgrim.
Scott Pilgrim Takes Over the World. I mean, that's that's an iconic cult classic. So of course, I would take that as a compliment too. Like I have a vet. One of my the vet that we go see kind of looks like if Andy Samberg and what's his name? Crap. After coming off of a 22-hour long stream, I'm kind of tired. The dude from Zombieland.
Yeah, of course. I know who you're talking about. What's his name, man?
He was also in the Facebook movie. Crap.
Yep.
But anyway, it looks like those two had a baby
together.
And they created my vet, and he sounds just like Andy Samberg too. But I can't look at him in the eye.
Have you told him that? Have you been like,
oh my God, yes, dude. I'm
can't
like,
make direct eye contact right now because you look so much like Andy Samberg. And
yeah. Oh my!
But
like I said, he looks just like Andy Samberg. And what is his? Oh my God, that's gonna bother the crap out of me.
Yeah, no, the dude, he's also in that Magic movie.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
But in the Social Network, stuff like that. What is his?
No, I know
That's
exactly
gonna bug the crap out of me.
That's hilarious.
Jesse Eisenberg. Eisenberg.
Yeah. There you go.
So Jesse Eisenberg and Adam Andy Samberg had a baby, and they created my vet.
That's hilarious.
It is. Ooh. Like I said, my voice is all screwed up too after doing that.
I can't believe you're talking after 22 hours on stream. I would be just sitting there sipping hot tea in front of the TV.
Yeah, I started yesterday at 3 p.m.
Oh my God.
And I went till almost 2 o'clock today. I mean, 1:30 today.
Well, you need to have, you really deserve a rest after this. It's time. It's time for a big hydration, some vocal cords, just to clamp down and do nothing for about 10 hours. And
yeah, I took a 4-hour nap because it took me a little bit to wind down.
There you go.
I took a nap from about 3 to 7, and I woke up and I was like, I looked at my phone. I'm like, I looked at my wife. And I'm like, why didn't you wake me up? I got an interview in an hour. Because I set my alarm for like 5:30, 6 o'clock. And I just turned it off. I was like, whatever.
So we all do. We all hit that snooze button.
Now, lucky for me, I didn't talk the entire 22 hours on stream. I mean, I did, because I'm not a gamer. Well, I'm a gamer, but I'm not an online gamer. So I didn't do, I mean, I did a little bit of gaming online last night, but mostly it was just recapping and best of my stuff and me talking in between and stuff like that. But it was rough, man.
Speaking of games, right? Like this whole COVID thing, and I'll preface this by saying that I think I had a gaming system, and it was an Xbox 360 for about maybe a year when I was in like 6th grade, and then I sold it, and I was like, I'm never doing this again. And as soon as all this happened, all this lockdown, and like obviously I haven't seen a lot of my friends, and they're calling me on the phone. They're like, hey, like we've all got PS4s. We're all playing Warzone. You need to get a PS4. And I held out for like a cool 2.5 months.
Yeah.
And now my only means of communication with my friends is on Warzone, every few days.
But I think Call of Duty made a big mistake there.
What's that?
With Warzone. Because now Modern Warfare, the newest Modern Warfare, whenever that came out last year, with Warzone, they're never gonna be able to make another game again and be able to sell it because people are gonna be hooked on Warzone forever.
Oh my god!
I remember when it launched, I was like, "Holy shit, this is amazing!" And I played for days and days and days, and I was like, "This is so great!"
Non-stop, yeah.
Non-stop.
It is. It's freaking amazing, and it's like. I mean, I'm not even a Call of Duty fan. Like I can't even do video games. Like I'm just not that guy. But I do like this game now. This is a game that I can get behind. It's just addicting.
It really is.
It's addicting.
Yeah, I mean, it truly, truly, truly is. And now that Call of Duty's come out with a mobile version too, so I can be instead of in my room or in my I've moved everything down to my studio, but I can be sitting on the couch after dinner and just pull up I can pull up Call of Duty on my phone and start playing.
They're making it too easy. They really.
Yeah, they really
are. I didn't even know that before you just said it. You can't tell me these things.
Oh, dude, it's a mobile Call of Duty, and let me tell you, and the thing about it is it's 100% free.
Of course.
And it's so easy to earn rewards. So I mean, you're constantly building up and you play as the same character over and over and over again.
Right.
But so you're constantly earning rewards just by playing one match. You could lose and you can still level up and earn a ton of rewards.
Right.
So, dude, I'm telling you, it's addicting, and especially on a Note 10 Plus, which is almost 7.5 inches. it's really easy to get sucked in.
Oh my God, yes, yeah. I think the hour and a half to 2 hours that I'm already spending on it is already too much. I already feel bad enough about myself. I already, I can't know these things. I can't know these things.
Now you're gonna get offline and be like, shit.
I'm one of those guys. I'm hard on myself, if I feel like I'm doing anything that's not massively productive, like I'll go to bed that night being like, oh shit,
yeah. Well, see, now that I'm a stand-up comic and a content creator, whether it be my post, my podcast or my talk show or whatever this show is, and I don't even know.
Right.
I just know that I put it on YouTube and I put it on podcasting platforms and I get 500,000 people a month. That's all I know. Call it a podcast, call it a talk show, call it whatever you want. That's all I care. But so everything I do, I can just use it as an excuse to my wife and be like, no, this is for research. She's like, you're playing Call of Duty on your phone. How is this research?
You're like, this is in right now. Everyone's doing this. I need to know.
She's like, but you're not even streaming, so what does it matter? I'm like, I gotta make sure I can talk about it on stream. What if my guest is a Call of Duty fan?
Oh God. Oh my God. Yep. I mean, listen, the excuse is good to have. Makes you feel better about it.
Everything I do is for content creation. Yeah. It's all about
broad. It's a broad spectrum of things. Yep.
Exactly. I got to make sure that I know a little bit about everything. I am a master of nothing, but I'm an apprentice in everything.
Listen. That's pretty amazing. That's pretty amazing. It's a good thing. I can't claim that. I'm definitely a master at maybe one or two things. If even a master, and terrible at a lot of others. Even Call of Duty, right? Like I've played that shit way too much. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah.
I'm still not as much as a lot of people, and I still suck. I'm good for 3 kills a game, maybe in Warzone. My KD's not even 1. I don't know. I can't, can't do it.
So
now that we've gone there.
Now that we've gone there, I didn't expect it to take that turn.
No, me neither.
That's what I love about my show. That's what I love about my show, and I tell this to everybody. I don't use your media kit. I will read the first paragraph of a media kit. Just so it's easy to copy and paste and put it into my YouTube video, therefore I don't have to type anything. But other than that, I don't like using it. I really truly don't, because the whole point of this interview is to find out those exact things and more. Right. So why should I read something when I can hear it come from your mouth?
Well, you've just heard it come from my mouth now.
Exactly. I mean, if I wanted,
I can't take it back. As much as I would love it for no one to know that I play any Call of Duty. I'm
gonna take a snippet of this interview and send it to Daily Mail. Be like, he's a Call of Duty freak. You're gonna see all of the presses tomorrow.
Oh my god. Anyway.
So let's talk about your opinions on. We're gonna get real for a second here.
Okay. Let's do it.
Where do you see, when you look out your window, or your hypothetical window, or whatever the case might be, and that could be your TV, your phone, whatever the case might be, that window at the world today, what do you see?
Oh man, I guess in like the simplest terms, I feel like I see a lot of, at this moment, people who seem like they're not really able to, really access any sort of empathy for anybody else. I think that's the biggest one, and that definitely bothers the shit out of me on a daily basis. Whatever it may be about, to me, like, a lot of stuff like boils down to like, well, like, if you could help someone else really easily, why wouldn't you do that? Mm-hmm. And I think, I'm seeing a lot of situations, and I've talked to a lot of people, even amongst my friends, where it seems like, like people just like really aren't thinking about that, and really aren't willing to help anyone else. Even if what they can do is very simple. And that's definitely a pretty shitty thing. So in shortest, that's what I would say.
Are you still, I've asked this to almost everybody, so it's a weird question, but are you still proud and feel privileged to be in this country right now with the state of affairs it's at?
I mean, I don't think that I could ever say that I don't feel privileged to be here. I mean, I've got it pretty damn good, and I've had it pretty damn good. I grew up in Berkeley. It's super, super lovely, great food,
Good
even if
weed.
Even if you this is a funny example, but I always tell people this, like, because I grew up here, like, one of the things that's most striking to me, which is hilarious, is that I go, to like other places, and I go to get like a loaf of bread, and I take one bite of it, and I'm like, what the fuck is this? Like what is going on here? And it's I didn't even know, right? But I realized, like, in Berkeley, in Oakland, whatever, the East Bay, you're growing up around like all these restaurants, like even like the not so nice ones, that are just getting fresh bread delivered to them every single morning from these insane little bakeries. And that's just something that I always took for granted. So when I come home, I'm always like, I'm ready to go get some bread. Like, let's go get,
Well, the thing about it is, especially in Berkeley, because I mean there's a definite stereotype about Berkeley.
Totally.
Everyone's so stoned out of their mind. They're constantly trying to find something that tastes even better.
and I can tell you firsthand, we've got a lot of things that taste freaking amazing here.
Yeah.
I mean, walk down Telegraph Avenue, walk down College Avenue, and it's everything is delicious, from like the little Mexican food place to the Italian restaurant to the Indian food. Oh my God.
Yeah.
So anyway, to get back to your question, like I don't know if I could, if I could really say that I don't feel privileged, because I totally do. I've got a great life, even in COVID, being able to have good food, having a lot of great friends that I've met, growing up here, great family, and also living in a place, regardless of any sort of like politics or anything else, like living in this area of California, right? You're like 2 hours from like pretty much any biome, if that you wanted to be in. You're right next to the ocean. You've got Tahoe and the mountains. You've got the desert. You've got beautiful forests and everything. Like even on that sort of very simple level, it's just insanely privileged, I think, to live in a place like this and to be here.
So I don't know the answer, so I'm going to ask, and if you don't care, you don't care. So being from, God damn it, I need to hydrate. So being from the Berkeley, Oakland area, are you pissed to lose the Raiders?
I don't. I gotta be honest with you. I'm not a football guy. I love basketball. I grew up sort of with a lot of baseball, but I'm just not a football guy. A lot of my friends are. I just can't do it. I don't like playing football. I don't really like watching football. So to be so honest with you, I don't personally care that much. I think it kind of sucks, like for Oakland, just because like so many, just like sort of like the Warriors going to San Francisco, even though it's right there, like that sucks. like this community, right, has been so supportive of those teams and has repped those teams so hard to the point where they're like part of the culture here,
Yeah.
So I think it, in that way, it's definitely just sad to see, that kind of thing that's like a seemingly very unifying thing for a lot of people who live here just kind of go away, for the sake of, just money.
Yeah.
So that's really what I have to say about it. I mean, like I said, I love basketball. I watch tons of basketball mostly, but I'm not really a football guy. So me personally, I never went to the Raiders games. I've been to many, but I don't go on a regular basis. I don't watch on a regular basis, but it just sucks for the community, man.
Yeah. That's a lot of money to be lost.
Totally. And in a place that like frankly, like needs it. Like, I mean, like, I don't know if you've ever been around here, but like even where the Warriors played, the Coliseum, right? Like that area, like it's not the nicest area. It's not, some beautiful place, but it's got so much energy to offer. And like all the people love it. It doesn't need to be some, massively sparkly thing with a bunch of food vendors and all this. It's just, it's about the vibe, really.
Yeah.
And it's great.
See, I'm not a basketball guy. I didn't know the Warriors were moving to San Francisco.
They already did. The Warriors and the Raiders played right next to each other. Literally like in the same lot of land, one at the Coliseum.
Yeah.
And the Warriors just moved at the beginning of this past season, which that's a huge hit, I think, for people in the East Bay in Berkeley, Oakland,
Yeah.
That sucks. I mean, obviously they've got this sparkly new stadium, but I mean, people aren't going to go across the bridge, into San Francisco as much as they were to see the Warriors play anymore. I think a lot of those like real fans, have been kind of isolated now and sort of cast off because the seats are way more expensive in this new place. Like you've got all these people in San Francisco that obviously have way, way, way more money. Not that like there are like a lot of people in Berkeley and Oakland that do also have a ton of cash, but it's just become that much more inaccessible, I think, which sucks. You've got more people like who just like, they're like, I have money to go to a Warriors game. I'm gonna go to a Warriors game, rather than like people who like really bring the energy and the vibe. Like if you've seen Oracle Arena, anytime in the past, even before the Warriors were good, it was a freaking time, everyone showed out. So yeah, I think it's just a bummer, but it still got the team. It's just a little further away. Yep.
So let's get back to the music for a second here.
Totally.
See, like I said, man, my interviews go like this. It's all over the place.
Awesome. I think it's awesome. I'm all about it.
So, where does some of the inspiration for some of your songs come from? I mean, are they personal experiences? Are you things that you fantasize about? Are they stuff that your friends going through? Especially with the type of music you play.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, I'm always, you know, that pop rock type, you know, sound that comes out. You know, sometimes it's, you know, and this is no offense to you or anybody else. It's kind of like those love ballads, those, you know, those things, you know, that make, you know, girls, you know, throw panties up on stage sometimes. Now, again, that's not a knock on anything, because I mean,
I didn't take it as such.
Yeah. Okay, good. Because the thing about it is, regardless of how the world perceives it, it's your heart and soul in every single song.
Right.
So where does your stuff come from? I
mean, I think every one of those places that you named, you know, whether it be my own experience or a friend's experience or sort of a dream or fantasy, songs have come from all of those places. I think the predominant one, though, is definitely just like pretty isolated moments that I can name throughout my life, where, you know, I felt very loved or very not loved, you know, or, you know, I guess speaking about this record that I just finished, you know, a few of them are about feeling really just like the feeling that I want to experience, the thing that I'm chasing. And honestly, like, the inspiration is coming from anywhere from, you know, when I was 13, 14 years old to like yesterday. And I'm not someone to like who can write a song just because like it seems pop or whatever, or just like come up with lyrics. Like, that's just not me. Like,
good.
Like, I have tried. I cannot do that shit. The way that I know that a song is right is literally just I'm following this like weird compass of how I feel, or like the feeling that I have in my head or in my chest that I'm chasing. And when I play and sing a melody at the same time that feels like that, that's when I know it's right. And there's nothing else that could tell me. You know, there's no amount of like, you know, well, these changes sort of, you know, fit a vibe, or you know, these lyrics might relate to people. None of that shit. I can't do it. So really, and I'll catch myself, you know, not being able to write songs if I don't have anything to talk about, or if I haven't had anything really happen to me that's affected me in any sort of substantial way. So, I mean, to this day, and the reason I started writing songs is like the reason I want to do it is just to sort of like to have that release of like being able to let something go, and also like being able to have a feeling of validation about whatever emotion I'm experiencing. Because oftentimes, right, like I feel like that's why people talk to like a therapist or like talk to their friends even about stuff that's going on, is they just want to feel like validated, like whatever, whether it's anger or sadness or love, whatever, that they just want to feel like it's a real thing and that other people can, you know, back it up. And I think for me, a lot of those feelings I have trouble expressing to other people, my friends, whatever, in a way that like they can really relate to it and back it up, or like they've experienced it. So the song to me is my validation. Like when it's put on paper and when I can hear it back to myself recorded, it just, you know, it validates to me that I'm just human and I'm, you know, going through something or having something happen, and that it's important in some way.
Yeah. And see, that was the reason why I asked that question, is because I see, especially in the genre of music that you're in, where you have, you know, also, you know, like your, man, everybody's name is escaping me today. There's just a lot of overproduced, you know,
totally
try to get to the radio crap.
Totally.
You know, what's going to appeal to the masses?
Totally.
You know, whether it's John Mayer or I'm not even going to say his name because I don't like him at all. You have a very similar vibe. The YouTube, I'm not going to say him. I'm going to describe him, and everyone knows what I'm talking about. He was discovered on YouTube and then went huge.
Yep.
You know what I'm talking about.
Yep.
his music is so overproduced.
Yeah.
I walk it through when you can walk through any grocery store at any given time and hear that it's crap. It sucks. It's like, and that's why terrestrial radio, like your AM FM stuff, is going to the wayside.
Yeah.
It's internet radio who that find those unsigned talents that just play the crap out of them now, or Sirius XM, who doesn't really care if you're a signed artist or not. If they like you, they're gonna play you.
Yeah.
And they're gonna help you get discovered and possibly signed. But like, and John Mayer is a very gifted guitarist. Don't get me wrong. He's collaborated with a lot of rock bands, such as Fall Out Boy when they redid "Beat It," I think it was.
Yeah, I mean, so many people. You see him coming on stage and playing guitar.
Yeah, but when it's his own music, it's or I hate to even say it, but like Ed Sheeran. He let it get so overproduced. Like his first album with Photograph and stuff like that was amazing, and then that last big hit he had, I can't even think of the name of the song, was completely.
Could have been "Shape of You" if you're
Shape of You, Shape of You.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that was just completely different from what it was.
Yeah.
And that's the one thing about the pop genres of whether it's pop or pop rock or whatever the case might be, it's a constantly evolving thing, which is great. Yeah. It's fantastic. However, once it catches hold, somebody gets their dirty little greedy hands on it and says, let's go ahead and make everybody sound the exact same.
Right. Well, as soon as someone has a hit in a certain, sort of new style that someone hasn't heard before, then everyone else is like, let's do that. Let's make that same song again, which is obviously never going to be. Exactly.
So how are you going to prevent that happening to you?
I mean, I guess some of it is yet to be seen. But realistically, like one of the things that I notice in a lot of these situations that you're talking about is just like, going back to even the writing of the song, like so many of these people, and I don't want to bash on it because I don't think there's a wrong way to write a song, but so many of these people are sitting in a room with 5, 6, even up to like 10 people, and they're all just throwing out ideas. It's all just like a circular sort of thing of like, let's do this as fast as we can, and let's get a song that people are going to somehow relate to. And I just can't write music that way. Like to begin with, I'm terrible in that situation. I write music all by myself, and I don't show anyone a song even until I am super confident that the lyrics and the melody and the chordal structure represent something that's authentic to me. Like I'm just not comfortable doing anything until that's set. And I think even going back to that, like I'm really a believer that like if the initial song is a certain way, that's going to inform a lot of the following, steps, whether it be production or any of that. And I just don't think I can write songs in the way that those people, those people who we're not
Shawn Mendes.
We're not.
I'll mention it. I don't care. Shawn Mendes.
I don't think that I can write songs in that way. So I mean, unless something drastically changed for me and I got wildly good at that, which I don't know how that would happen. Then I don't think that's a thing or a path that I'm going to follow. But even, beyond that, that's part of the reason that like, even on this last record, where I got the chance to work with a lot of people that I hadn't worked with before, I still produced the whole thing, is because you want to make sure that what's coming out the other end feels like you, and whatever the fuck anyone else is going to say about it, whether they like it or hate it, you can say that it's something that's real and something that's authentic and not something that feels manufactured. And that's a big reason that I did that. I'm aware that I'm not, Paul Epworth or Greg Wells or any of these insane producers who have, 30 years of experience on me. But at the same time, producing for me is like, it's a huge part of the picture that you're painting. And if, it'd be weird to me to make an outline and then let everyone else fill in the outline, you know, that to paint all the colors.
Yeah.
To me, that's not really being an artist. So
exactly. And that's what I was saying before. Cause I mean, and the reason why I mean, I didn't say his name at first, but I'm going to say his name now. I mean, Shawn Mendes, you know, when he was just a YouTube kid,
right.
I mean, even though I didn't like his music at all, my daughter, who's 19 or 18, how old is she now? 19 or 18? I don't even know. She fell in love with the kid. I mean, because she discovered him on YouTube first, and then followed his career. But now it's all about, okay, now just make me a star, and you know, and that's why I enjoy talking to real artists. You know, not these. And if I ever had an opportunity to talk to an A-lister, I would talk to them just like I'm talking to you. But I like talking to the B and C guys and the underground guys or the people just breaking out. Because the thing about it is it's still real. And I hope that you keep that same path. Because I mean, I'm listening to your stuff, you know, I was just like, okay, it's real, it's raw, it's not overproduced, it's good, it's that good pop rock stuff that, you know, appeals to the masses, but at the same time it still feels real. Especially when I'm with my show. If you don't know, you know, the whole idea behind Suck It isn't, you know, anything dirty or anything like that. It's a mental health thing. Because I suffer from severe mental health issues. I'm bipolar and have severe anxiety and stuff like that, and I also suffer from PTSD. So the whole idea behind Suck It is telling the world to suck it. We're just like you. Stop, you know, stop judging us. Stop, you know, stop giving us a stigma around us that something's wrong with us. There's something wrong with us. We're just whatever. And so when I talk to people on the show, I like I said, I don't even like to be overproduced. That's why I don't use the media kit. And I like to get the real raw reactions of who the people are. Because again, you know, the people that come here to watch my show or listen to the show on the podcast tomorrow, if they wanted to hear you talk to E Entertainment and listen to that same canned response, they can go find that anywhere. But if you're going to come to my show, they're going to get a different side of who you are. And they're going to hear me talk shit about other artists. And eventually, I'll probably end up having that artist on my show, and he's going to go back and, you know, Mike go, what the hell is this about? Dude, I'm sorry.
And then you can get the authentic reaction, right, of you apologizing or saying whatever the fuck you're going to say.
I won't apologize. I refuse to apologize because that's how I feel about it. You know, I'd say the same thing to John Mayer. Like, John Mayer, when you're playing with other people, you are the real you. But the moment you're starting writing your own shit, you know, you let other people get your hands in it, and it sucks. Because you're a great guitarist, you're a great musician. Why do you let people get in your way? You know, I asked that same question to Bashir Hogue on Friday. It's like, you know, how do you make sure that, you know, you don't let people get in your way?
Right.
Because I mean,
it's hard. I mean, it's hard.
It really is.
I mean, there's on so many levels, because not only is it like, obviously when it starts out, it's just because of something you want to do or whatever. But I mean, even me, like, I've felt these pressures of like being in a situation where, especially when you put it all on the line, like you're not going to go to college. You put everything you have into it, all your money, all of your resources, all of your energy and time into doing something. And obviously doing it your way, the sort of payoff, it takes longer, you know, and some people have a breaking point, and at some point they go, I just want to see some sort of result, you know? Yeah. And that, I think that's when you're very susceptible to everything that we're talking about. People putting their hands in it, you know?
Yeah.
So.
And that's what sucks about the music industry in general. Because in the 80s, it was hair metal that was the overproduced stuff. You know, your Poison, your Def Leppard, your stuff like. Now, granted, that's classic stuff, and you know, listening back on it, it's still, you know, good stuff. But it wasn't as overproduced as it is stuff as today. But the moment music starts making money, everyone gets their grubby little hands on it and wants to, you know, make it the same every time and use this exact same tried and true formula repeatedly. And that's one of the reasons why I'm a metal guy, and I'm like a real hardcore metal guy, is because, hardcore metal, with the exception of like Ozzy and stuff like that, and Metallica, that's not the money sound. That's not the money genre.
Yeah.
So
sure.
people just say, oh, we'll sign you because we know you're good, but go do whatever the fuck you want, and we'll just put it out and put our name on it. And but then even with like hardcore rap these days, it's so overproduced. And I have a lot of respect for a lot of rappers because they use their mouth as an instrument, which is cool. I mean, especially like Eminem and stuff like that. But it's just, I hate the fact that the music industry is the way it is, because now it's all about, okay, we can't make money on record sales anymore. So how can we make money? How can we make everything, generate some type of income? And the artists are losing a lot of, their will. And let's go back to what I was saying earlier in the show, the Cory Taylor stuff. Regardless of whether or not it was, a producer or Roadrunner Records coming in and saying, hey, you guys need to do this. And that was the miserable motherfucker that he was talking about. But it's the fact that, there's so many hands in the pot, and they're trying to, use that same tried and true formula, and it just makes people pissed off. And that's why people go solo, or that's why people, start producing their own stuff and, never sign to a record label, and they just put everything out on Spotify themselves. And it's just,
yeah, it's hard to maintain an identity when everyone wants to have a little part in it, and like you said, stick your hands in it. But that being said, I definitely, I was much more, not that I'm still not on that wave of like that real poppy overproduced stuff, but I was much more, against the whole thing when I was younger. And I think the few situations that made me sort of, empathize with it a bit, or just feel like, oh, maybe this helped, was like, there's a few artists where it feels like they had this first record where it was like, it was very authentic and they had this very, very clear vision for it. And like, it just, and it sucks to see it when no one hears it, just no one, it doesn't reach anyone, like this awesome thing, that you want everyone to hear, and you want everyone to, and it's not until somehow they take this thing that's like very, very them and like polish it in like a certain way. Maybe they like could be a variety of elements, right? Like maybe it's like a little arrangement thing, or maybe it's like a little production thing or whatever, who knows? But like that second record that like is still that same vibe, just like something about it is a little bit more polished, and people are all of a sudden so much more receptive to it. Sometimes I think that's pretty awesome. And I think,
yes. I think we're talking about the same thing, because I mean that polishing that's what it needs. I mean, right. There's no harm in that, and no harm in that. But to completely change somebody's sound,
right,
because of that is where I'm kind of going with
totally.
it.
Sometimes I think, sometimes it's hard, right? Because sometimes that little polish comes from maybe letting someone into your little bubble that maybe you wouldn't have let in, whether that be like an engineer or another producer or a player. And at that point, then you just have to be careful, right? Like, or maybe it's a boundaries thing of like, how much do I let this person really fiddle with it until I say no more?
Yeah.
Or how much do I let them do their thing, But I think there's some great examples of that. I don't know if you know or listen to like, Leon Bridges, and really it was between his first and second album. To me, he had this first album that people still heard, and it was like this awesome Motown thing, recorded all with ribbon mics and onto tape and like super minimal resources. And I was just sitting there like, this is fucking awesome. Why haven't more people heard this? And that second album comes out, and I will admit a few of the songs like went a little bit overboard for me, but there were songs like Mrs., which like feels like that Motown like soul vibe. Like it's awesome, but it just felt like the whole thing is packaged a little bit better. The whole thing, maybe this time, the mixing engineer was a different person, or just the person producing it had a little bit more of a way to say, okay, you love that vibe, but let's take Motown and make it a little bit more modern. Let's make it like something a little bit different, something that sounds a little bit larger, you know. And I was like, I heard that and I was like,
yeah,
that's it. And like that to me was a great example. But
yeah, and like I said, I mean, that kind of stuff, you know, the mixing engineer or whatever the case might be, or hey, I love what you're doing there, but let's just make it a little bit bigger, like you said.
yeah,
That's to me is perfectly fine.
Yeah.
Because it's still the artist. It's just that, you know, when, you know, hypothetically speaking, I can't think of an exact example, but like, you know, say for instance, it's a pop, you know, rock guitarist, and you know, then they're putting all the synth stuff on there to where it's almost like they're auto tuning the guitar.
right.
And,
That's weird.
yeah, and it's like now it's no longer that artist, and
Right.
and that's why people, you know, and a lot of people, and in my research in my 20 years in this business, you know, say, oh, well, it's a one-hit wonder, blah, 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 blah. And because they couldn't come up with anything else. There's a lot of one-hit wonders that just quit because they got tired of being overproduced and didn't want to have to come out with that formula. And then they're coming back 20 years later saying, okay, we're doing it our way this time. You know, like there was a band from the 90s, I doubt you've heard of them, called Stabbing Westward.
Nope.
And yeah, they went away for a long time, and they're just now making a comeback. But they're doing it their way, you know, and that's where things kind of come into hand. I mean, even Metallica went through that phase, you know, back in the 90s with Load and Reload and, you know, stuff like that, where it just campy, you know, weirdness. And, you know, they thought they were evolving, but in reality they were just like, eh. And now they're back to what they used to do and stuff like that. And it's, and when it's genuine, that's when it's awesome.
Right. You hear artists go through these phases of ups and downs of like, and usually it starts super genuine. Yeah. And then it gets to a place and maybe it like something weird happens and eventually they come back down, or the ones that stick with it, you know? So yeah, I totally agree. You know, I definitely hear stuff all the time where I've like heard an artist's, you know, first record or like maybe just some performances. And I'm like, what the fuck happened here? And to some degree, it feels like it's just a producer that maybe like just didn't, you know, wasn't able to translate what they were doing live or like in their most authentic state into a polished record, or, you know, and sometimes it feels like, you know, so just being a bad producer choice, or sometimes it feels like, you know, just like people trying to drive someone in a direction that they're just not meant to go in. It sucks because people usually already have, you know, if they've gotten to the point of making that record or whatever, they've usually got plenty of talent and plenty going for them that they don't, you know.
But I think they lose a sense of themselves. And you know, you know, no offense to her at all, because she's gotten to where she's at for a reason. But like Taylor Swift, for example, you know, there's a whole episode on a Family Guy devoted to her. To where they don't really make fun of her in any which way, shape, or form, which is kind of cool that, you know, Seth MacFarlane didn't do that. But the whole idea was she fell in love with, you know, somebody, and now she wrote a love song, an actual love song, and she goes and performs it on stage, and the whole entire crowd hates on her because now she's no longer heartbroken writing about, you know, guys breaking her heart. And she loses a bunch of fans. And there was in that whole episode, it was not a dig to her at all. It was a dig to the music industry as a whole, stating that, you know, they're just catering to what people want instead of trying to challenge people's ears, you know, and challenge, you know, and push the boundaries of what people can do. They're just consistently catering to the exact same thing over and over again. Oh, Taylor Swift wrote this one great heartbreak song. Now we're going to write 50 of them.
Right.
And that's,
until someone comes along and breaks them out of that and takes it in a different direction, and then everyone wants to do that.
Exactly. And that's, but I hope, you know, artists like you, you know, don't allow that to happen. Stay true to yourself, man. I mean, especially coming from somebody that has severe mental health issues. Letting people control who you are only creates bigger heartache. You know, like I said, I suffer from PTSD from an abusive ex-wife, and I still get flashbacks to that all the time, because she controlled every little bit of my life. Yeah. You know, at the time I was a professional wrestler, and you know, and wouldn't let me travel sometimes, or wouldn't let me do this, or wouldn't let me do that, and you know, she refused to work and made me work 2 jobs plus wrestle, and you know, it was weird, and you know, just a constant, you know, battle with someone that I thought was supposed to love me. And looking back on it now, she never loved me. She just wanted my money, and she wanted to control me and have things her way or no way. And whether that's the acting business, film, you know, TV, music, comedy, whatever the case might be, you know, it's always about who you are, because that's the money that you'll make will be the best, because it's real. Totally. It's not about somebody saying, "Oh, do this and you'll make money." It's about, no, I'm going to do this and I'll make the amount of money that I want. You know, fuck being a billionaire. I just want to make things that make me happy. And
totally.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's hard, you know, like speaking of mental health, like it's hard to like be putting yourself out there in any sort of artistic way to such a degree and not feel, you know, some sort of anxiety about it, or just some sort of, you know, especially with fear. Like I think most people deal with fear, you know, in that situation. And it's definitely super real. And like, whether it be like subliminal or not, when it's talking about letting people like influence you, whether it be like, oh, this song didn't get as many plays, people must not like it as much. And it might have been a song that was more authentic to you. Letting stuff like that influence you, when it's like, when the thing you put out is so near and dear to your heart, it's hard to sit back and just take it, you know, and absorb it, and like realize that like, all right, like it's not a reflection of me or like my self-worth or whatever. Like, I don't know. It's hard for me to articulate these things, but especially as a musician, whatever, put something out that's so close to you that it feels like it's part of yourself, that the way people react to it obviously makes you feel things, you know?
Yeah. Oh, 100%. Because the thing about it is, like, especially with what I do on the show, you know, I've been told, keep my political opinions to myself. You know, never talk shit about somebody. You know, all this stuff, it's like, that's not who I am.
Right.
You know, I have no fear when it comes to that kind of stuff. If, you know, Shawn Mendes gets wind of this interview and, you know, wants to talk shit, let's talk shit. I have no problem with that. If John Mayer gets wind of this interview and, you know, that's fine. I mean, it's bound to happen. I mean, I'll never forget this. This is such a funny ass story. So a while back, I was interviewing this this model, actress / comedian. Her name is Eugenia Kuzmin. She's the wife of the president of Miramax Films. Okay.
Whoa.
Yeah. She's married to Miramax. I mean, but she was
married to Miramax.
Yeah, but here's the thing. She made a name for herself prior to him, and she's a genuinely awesome person. And I'm friends with her still. I text her all the time. We talk. But during the first time I met her was on the interview. Yeah, and I started talking shit about Heidi Klum. Little did I know that she was friends with Heidi Klum. And I was like, oh, my bad. So, I mean, she laughed about it because I wasn't being harsh on her or anything like that. I was just talking shit about the fact about, like, America's Got Talent, about how, and this is a critique everyone said, that whenever somebody goes on America's Got Talent, you know, Heidi Klum's always harsh on the adults. But you put a kid in front of her, she automatically falls in love with him and says yes. And it's like, what happened to, you know, judging talent, not cuteness. And, you know, that was basically all I said. I didn't say anything else about her because I think Heidi Klum's a genuinely funny, you know, genuine human being. She makes fun of herself all the time. I mean, she did an episode of How I Met Your Mother, for God's sake, where she was just basically making fun of herself. So I have no issues with her at all. I was just talking about that, but it was still funny to, you know, just make a joke about her and say, oh, she's like, oh yeah, I'm friends with Heidi. I'm like, oh, tell her I said hi.
That's hilarious. Yeah.
Yeah. But you know, it's you know, again, it's a realism thing, and you know, and I love being able to do that. And if you know, again, if my show gets to the point where I'm, you know, making millions of viewers and, you know, even more exposure, I still have no problem with it. You know,
that's good. I mean, there you go.
Yeah, because it's all about, again, staying true to who I am.
Totally.
And that's one thing I love about, you know, music. You know, when you find that genuine sound, that they just don't care about the money. It's about, you know, okay, do I have enough money to survive in my apartment? Can I feed my family? Great. Then I'm happy. Leave me alone.
Right.
And when I find those artists, I'm just ecstatic about it. And even if it's a genre that I don't like, if I find those artists, it's like, let me just shake your hand and say thank you. You know, because music is unity, music is healing, music is everything to me.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I literally, you know, show prep for my show takes about an hour total. I mean, creating a graphic, like we're on the screen now, and putting together the YouTube, you know, stuff, it all takes a little bit. But I come into my studio about an hour before the interview and just turn on my I'm not going to say her name, the Amazon round thing, because she's looking at me and she'll start talking. And I'll say, hey, you know, play, you know, this mix. And we'll just chill and just play on the internet and listen to music and vibe out, getting, you know, in the mode to talk to somebody. And without music, I don't know if I could ever do that.
Right.
So it's people like you and, you know, that just keep that dream alive.
I appreciate that. That's everything you just expressed is exactly why I make music too, you know, and it's like a feeling. I think what you were getting at too, or, you know, at least for me, when people find that thing that's like just them, right? Like no amount of money is better than the feeling of total, like, I could say ecstasy, kind of. That's like this that you get when you've sung a melody and played a melody, you've heard a melody that just sounds exactly like the way you feel, or that just hits you like that. They're totally different leagues. No amount of money could compare to that.
Exactly.
Which is obviously why it's special, you know, and is why we do it.
Yeah.
It's why we write songs. Just chase that.
Yeah, I mean, and truth be told, I mean, that's why I quit the music business when I did. What year are we in? 2020. So 17 years ago. You know, in 2003, I just walked away. Because I mean, I was in Orlando at the time, and every band that I joined just wanted to make music to hit the radio. I'm like, that's not what I'm about. I don't want to do that. Let's write this song. Oh, that's too heavy. You know, I wrote a song that was really personal, really from the heart. And my band members were like, all right, so you know who Korn is, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So on their first album, they wrote, Jonathan Davis wrote a song called Daddy. And it was about how he was sexually abused by his stepfather and just all this stuff. It was really personal. It was really hard to listen to. And after he wrote it, he never performed it on stage because it was just so personal. And he only recently, within the last couple of years, started performing on stage. And the first time he ever performed on stage, he literally broke down on stage singing it. But it's a very hard song, and it's not politically correct in any which way, shape, or form. And I wrote a song similar to that one time. And my band members were like, oh, that's our daddy. Nobody's ever going to listen to that. Nobody's ever going to want that. But I'm like, it's personal. It's who I am. And they're like, we're not playing that. It's like, then I don't want to play with you guys. I mean,
yeah, that sucks.
you know, I mean, now if you want to tweak it, make it a little bit less, but like, no, we're not touching that at all. It's a subject we don't even want to talk about. I'm like,
Right.
I couldn't do it anymore.
Yeah, that sucks. And it's like, why are you making music?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And if you're just here, you know, to get on the radio,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, you gotta love it first. you gotta love it a whole lot first, whether it's just playing the instrument or writing the songs or both, or, you know, producing. Like that's number one. That's how you make a great song. And I think it's still, you know, to this day, like a lot of the things that last more than a few years are things that are very clearly super authentic and real to someone, and something that was, you know, not made based on any sort of outline that someone else created for them. It's just something that's real, and that translates. People are all humans, you know. People are just able to feel that emotion for years to come. And I think sometimes people don't see that immediate, you know, like hit, or that immediate, like, that's not a number one, you know. Even some of these songs that like might be like 500 or, you know, whatever on the chart, but it's that song that 10 years later people are still listening to, you know, has longevity past a week, which is obviously so much more valuable. So I think that's the light in the dark, right? Is like those songs still, I think, make an impact and come through. And you can tell when someone's written a song like that, you know, and when it's going to last. And you can tell when, you know, there's songs that were released when I was in high school that to this day, I listen to it, it feels exactly the same way, you know?
Yeah.
It's not that like instant, like, well, this is cool. And then a week later, you're like, oh, maybe not so much. It was, you know, it was a thing.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, when you can not hear a song for a long ass time, and, you know, here's an example. The other day, I don't know how I found it or where it was, you know, how I came across it, but I found like this old book of CDs.
Right.
And I was like, holy shit, you know, CDs, what the hell are these? And I'm just flipping through it, and I'm like, holy shit, I forgot about this. I forgot about that. And then I went on Amazon and I downloaded it. And now it's on my phone, so it's all good. But it's like, I haven't heard the song for 10, maybe 15 years, maybe even 20 in some cases. And I'm like, damn, I still remember the words.
Yep.
You know, I still remember the melody. I still remember the solo in it. I mean,
Right.
when you find that,
Yeah.
that's, I mean, regardless of whether or not people remember it, if it means that much to you to where your brain goes, holy shit, I mean, let me rewind and let me remember those words to that song. And it's like,
Yeah.
cool, you know?
Oh yeah. And I mean, these songs form like, you know, a scrapbook of your life in ways where you'll go back and listen to something and you might not even be able to physically recall whatever feeling it was that you had, you know, and on Christmas, you know, in 2012 or whatever. And you listen to that song and all of a sudden the whole emotion's flooding back to you and you're like, oh, there it is.
Yep.
That shit is really special to me. And,
Yep.
and funny enough, I had, which I just thought was a really cool moment because it was a song that just didn't get played, you know. But I wrote this song. It was for my band when I was junior in high school, I want to say, and it was called "The Go," and it was like super different than everything else on the record that we were making, and it was like a 6.5 minute like super slow song with just guitar. Like I can't even like. My vocals were not very good. Like the whole thing was just like really rough and raw. And I had this girl the other day who I was on a Zoom call with a few of my fans tell me, start talking about it. She was like, I still go back and listen to that song. And I listen to that song and I just know exactly how I felt in senior year, like walking through the hallways of my high school. And I just love that. And I was like, there you go. Like that's exactly why I wrote it. Just because that's exactly how I was feeling doing the same exact shit.
Yeah.
And that I think that just makes it worth it, right? Like that's just the most awesome thing.
Yeah. I have a situation like that similar too. So I got my first CD player Christmas of 93, 94. And the first CD I ever owned was by the Cranberries with the song Zombie on it. And I hadn't heard that song in a long time. And 2 years ago, when Dolores passed away, the lead singer of Cranberries, around that same time, a band called Bad Wolves did a cover of the song and released it. And she was actually supposed to be do vocals in that song as well. She was the day before she was actually supposed to go record with the band Bad Wolves. She passed away, and for a long time they were like, should we release this song? Should we not? And they did it anyway, and then they actually donated all the money from the single release to her family. But the first time it came on the air, and like I said, it had been 2 years ago now, it brought me back to Christmas Day.
Right.
You know, setting up my, my CD player in 94, 93, whatever it was, and, just listening to Zombie on repeat over and over and over again. I think that album also had Linger on it, which I didn't even like that song, but it was just Zombie, just repeatedly over and over and over again. So yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
It's
man.
so awesome. It's like
really
the best. It's the best thing, like sometimes it's amazing to me. Like sometimes our brains and whatever can't remember a certain feeling, and just the song just releases those chemicals or whatever it does, and all of a sudden you're just back there. That stuff is just so important to me,
Yeah.
Like, oh my God. It's just a scrapbook. It's just a scrapbook of our lives. That's what it is.
It really is. And when you can find a song that just, especially when you're going through something that you didn't realize you were going, or you're going through, and then all of a sudden this song just comes on the radio at that particular moment, or it just gets released. Like I'll never forget the same year that the original drummer for Avenged Sevenfold he passed away before. My grandmother died the year after he died, and Avenged Sevenfold came out with Nightmare the same year that she passed away, and they actually released the same week that she passed away the song that they did as a dedication to their former drummer. And so now that song "So Far Away" by Avenged Sevenfold, it happened like the same week she passed away. I was like, oh shit, that right in my heart. So now every time I hear that song, it reminds me of my grandmother. And I actually have a tattoo of it, because of it. And it's like it just happens. Or 2 years ago when I had my suicide attempt, there's a band called Bad Flower, and they released a song around that same time called "Ghost," which is about suicide. And if that song didn't come on the radio while I was in my car, I would have literally driven off a cliff.
Right.
And now it's like, music just has such a meaning. Yeah. And it's just, I can't get enough of it. I can't get enough of it.
Totally. It's almost inexplainable. It's like, it's hard. It's like, I feel like we use a lot of words to try and explain how something feels to us, when realistically, like, you can't even know. You can't even know until you've been there and heard the song and you felt it. It's like, it's the craziest thing. It's the craziest thing.
It really is. Wow. Yeah. So, man, we've talked music for an hour and a half.
Yeah, we've talked music, and we had a 30-second detour into
Call of Duty,
and a 15-second detour into bread.
Yeah, and Berkeley loving weed.
There you go. There you go. Yeah.
Man, let me tell you what. It's conversations like this that just seem, make this job just so easy. Yeah. I mean,
I've had a great time. I did not expect to have this good of a time talking to you. Just talking to someone that you've never talked to before, right? And then it's awesome.
Yeah, and especially when, the only thing I know about you is your music, and like I said, that first paragraph of your media kit, it's awesome, and then just like I said, getting to know the real you and talking to you, and I don't have the fear of saying something that may, upset somebody or whatever the case might be, because because again, it brings out the realness in the conversation. Right. And then once I explain myself, even if I upset you at any point in time, which I hope I didn't.
No, you would know. You would know.
Good. Last night, kind of a recap here. So during my 24-hour stream, or 22-hour stream, I couldn't make it the full 24 hours. I passed out about 7:00 during during a best of segment, and like my daughter came in and woke me up, and I'm like, oh shit, I gotta get back on the air. And I was like, okay, I don't think I can make it. So, but anyway, back in July, I I did an episode where I invited like 7 other podcasts on my show, and it was just 7 podcasts just talking.
Sounds like a lot.
It was, and it was hard. But in reality, it was eerily easy to collaborate it because I kind of controlled the situation. I asked this, so it was almost like me interviewing them and kind of controlling it from here and there. So it ended up a lot better than I expected. The whole week I was like, this is gonna be a clusterfuck, but luckily it wasn't. But in that interview, and I'm sitting there listening to it last night, and I said to myself, I go, I don't really care, I'm paraphrasing. It was something to the effect of, I don't really care, about the questions that I asked the guests on my show. They're either going to answer it and love me for it, or they're going to hang up on me. Yeah, I go, either way, it's a reaction.
have you had someone just hang up, just like done?
Nope.
That's good. I mean, there you go.
No, because even though some of the things I say can come off as, like when I was talking shit about Shawn Mendes, which again, even though I don't, like his music, and I still have respect for the guy because he's still at least trying to do something that he loves to do, whether he's overproduced or not, and that's not necessarily a reflection on him. It's just a reflection on his management. So it's not really him. He just wants to make music, and if he's got to make his management happy, maybe one day when he's in his 30s, he'll be like, you know what, fuck this, I'm making my own music again. So I have hope for him in that sense because he did start off, writing his own stuff. So in a sense, I'm not really talking shit about him. I'm talking about his management and his label. And that's what, when I say stuff like that, I say it with good intention. And it's never meant to be insulting. Like I asked a newer artist a while back. I go, hey, so you just released your second album. You haven't really had a chance to tour. You only toured last year. How are you making money right now? How are you being able to survive and take care of your family during this pandemic? We know that's the only way you make money is by touring. Are you guys okay? And he was like, dude, thank you very much for asking a genuine question. He goes, nobody's ever thought to ask a question like that in any interview ever. Yeah. And he was taken to it. And my co-host at the time, she was like, Derek, why'd you ask that question? And I'm like, because I want to know. So it's like, I just like the real reaction, the rawness of it. And I never say it with haste intent. And like I said, if I ever talk to John Mayer or Shawn Mendes, I'll tell them, I said, hey, this is how I feel. But, are you ever going to be able to get back to who you are? Or is this who you truly are and people just have a wrong perception about you? And I'll be honest, and if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Because I have no problem being wrong.
I think for me, gauging those things is all about looking at the writing credits. Like we talked about earlier, like is this really you or is this not? Because those writing credits, I think, tell you a lot in terms of like if someone's really trusted, right, to make something that's good or whatever, like they're sitting in that room by themselves or with whoever, one other person. Like if you're Elton John, you write with another guy, and if they're not, there's tons of people in there. To me, like making art has never been about making it with that many people. Like it's about making something that's about yourself. It's a little bit egotistical,
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit narcissistic at times, but that's sort of what it's about. And that's, to me, that's in how you end up relating to other people. And so I think for me, when I determine like with pop artists, like how I feel about them who are really pop, a lot of the times that's what I'm looking at. So like, you mentioned a few people like for instance, like Ed Sheeran, I have a lot more respect for him than I did when I was younger, having like seen his process in writing and like looked at a lot of those credits and like been like, damn, you just write a killer pop song that a lot of people want,
Yeah.
And is you listen to the dude sing and you're like, yeah, you can fucking sing, and you're not some insane guitar player, but you have great time, you can play the thing with the feeling, which to me is the most important thing, and that to me brings up respect in my mind for those people.
Yeah.
When I sort of break it down in those ways, just because like that shit's, it's hard, it's difficult. Even if you're part of a huge machine or just making huge pop records, like that shit's just so difficult. So someone who can just write song after song after song after song and can just go up on a vocal mic and sing something, like some people just have it, right? They can just go and sing and the soul is there. Even if let's just say, even if someone hasn't written a song, they can access something, like Aretha Franklin. Like, holy shit. Just like it, you didn't write it, but you surely feel it,
Oh yeah.
And that shit, to me, that's what does it.
Oh yeah. I mean, if you're see, that's where I there's two different words that I like to use. There's artist and then there's entertainer.
Right.
Aretha Franklin is the entertainer, but there's an artist behind her. Now she can take it and make it her own, and that just takes her to another level. But there's an artist behind her on that, and but at the same time, there's a lot of good artist entertainers, like
there are both.
Yeah, and when you have a good mix of that, like Ed Sheeran, and like I said, I lost. I know he did write "Shape of You," and I know that there's a lot of other people that had their hands in that song.
Yeah,
but when you look at that song compared to his entire first album, it's like, it's hard to say, did you, without asking him, it's like, is this what you really truly wanted, or were you just kind of giving in a little bit?
Right, and it could be something as simple as a record label being like, we just need one more upbeat song, and maybe that wasn't a song that even would have been written. Yeah. Had the record label not been like, we need another upbeat song on this record.
Yeah, because it's also going to be the fact that he said, okay, fine, I'll give you this one song, and the other 11 on this. So the total of 12, you get one. I get the other 11. And if that's the case, cool. I understand that.
Right.
There is a business aspect to it.
Yeah. What was funny about that record is at least to me, you could tell, which song he really connected with, which to me, in my watching it, was Perfect, which is like the ballad tune that was longer. And you could tell that because you're sitting here watching the releases of it and you're like, he released the first version of it, which didn't do marvelously well in comparison to like his number ones and number twos on the chart, or like Shape of You. And then even despite it not doing as well as those, he goes, I'm going to release another version of this song and another one that's an opera and another one. It's like, clearly this is the song that you believe in, which I think is cool.
Yeah.
I think that shit's cool.
Yeah.
To see from a bigger artist, like just be able to see that. But also, it's interesting, like bringing up his first record and whatever. And I think it's the case with a lot of artists where people feel like, on those first records, maybe having like way less resources, both in the studio and just in terms of money and whatever, that people make their most authentic piece of work,
Oh, absolutely.
with a shitty microphone and with like, one guitar and which that just tells you, right? It's about the song and it's about, just putting it down with feeling.
Exactly. So what was it? 96, 97, the very first Foo Fighter record, was 100% written, played, every instrument done by Dave Grohl.
Right. Yeah.
And only after the album even came out and when he was going to start touring is when he actually put the band together. Right. And because of the stuff that he did, I mean, I can't think of his name. Taylor, the drummer for Foo Fighters, was actually playing with Alanis Morissette at the time, and because of the coolness factor of what he did by himself, Taylor was like, "I'm leaving Alanis," which was the biggest freaking artist at the time, to go play with a maybe big band that could turn into something. And now the Foo Fighters are the greatest thing, probably the biggest band of our generation. I mean, no doubt about it. When you can sell out Wembley multiple times that you go there, go to Brazil and sell out there, and fucking they even went to Australia and played a show where they literally, because of everyone jumping up and down, they actually caused a small earthquake.
Are you serious?
I am, dude. That is
Oh
that is
my gosh.
legitimate.
Oh my
You
God.
can Google that.
What the fuck?
It actually registered on the Richter scale because there
Okay.
were so many people bouncing up and down.
Oh my God.
It was actually during the song "Best of You," and everyone was and they actually caused a small earthquake in Australia. That's a good thing. And when that happens, you're like, okay, yeah, I made the right move, switching from Alanis Morissette to Foo Fighters.
Totally. That's hilarious. I had no idea. I've never heard that before.
Yep, it is a true fact. And it is the weirdest thing ever. If you Google, earthquake, you'll see it. It's pretty funny.
Yeah, that sounds freaking hilarious.
It is.
Also, that's like fitting in terms of like Dave Grohl, from like what I understand about this guy's personality. Like he just seems so extra and like in every regard.
Well, I mean, think about it. I mean, if you watch some of these videos of them on stage, he constantly invites people up on stage to play his guitar while he sings, and then he just gives away his guitar. Oh, here you go. Great job. There you go.
Right.
Give me a new guitar.
It's a pretty funny thing, dude. He's definitely a character. He's definitely a character, and has emerged as the front man of rock and roll of our generation.
And to think that, back in 91, 92, he was just the guy with the long hair that you couldn't see his face behind a drum kit in Nirvana. And then to see him where he's gone, it's just, to think that they're bigger than Nirvana ever could have been. Kurt Cobain got in his own way, and he would have never let him get this big. Because he was afraid of the machine, and that's why he ended up killing himself, because he was so afraid of the machine. And but Dave Grohl never let the machine get control of Foo Fighters. They've always been the Foo Fighters.
I love that video of him on stage, like breaking his leg and then being brought back up, by the EMTs or whatever, and some dude sitting there holding his leg when he's playing guitar. I'm like, what is going on here?
Yeah. And it even goes back even further. I mean, the second album, The Color and the Shape, had one of their most famous songs called Everlong. And if you've ever seen the video for Everlong, it is, the original song is weird. There's, animated characters with weird stuff going on, and it's just a weird freaking video. And you listen to the original version of it, and it's just like, okay. But then you hear the acoustic version of it. And then you really start to understand, like I was talking about before.
Going back to the acoustic versions.
Yeah. I mean, the acoustic version of Everlong is, you really start to feel who that song is and what that song is about. And now I love Foo Fighters. They're like, Dave Grohl is like the top of my bucket list for this show.
That's cool. That's cool. I can't say that I'm as big of a Dave Grohl fan, but I respect it.
Oh yeah, to me he's just amazing. I mean, he's gone on to play drums for other bands like Queens of the Stone Age, and done guest spots here and there. I think he even played a set with Metallica one time. I mean, he's just done it all. I mean,
he's definitely an insane drummer.
Well, the thing about it is, I read an interview with him a long time ago. God, I'm old. To where he used to play. When he first started playing, he played with these really thick, really heavy drumsticks. Then when he started to actually play professionally, he switched to the light ones. And because of how the weight difference, he was able to play a lot faster and a lot quicker and stuff like that. And it's just funny, some of the way things happen. But yeah, he's an insane drummer, insane guitarist. His vocals are crazy, and he's just he's a quirky, funny dude. Just really is. Yeah,
he's definitely quirky and hilarious. And some of the shit that he does is like, I can't imagine seeing anyone else do that. Like the broken leg thing, man. Like, what the fuck? What the fuck?
Or inviting a 12-year-old kid with Kiss makeup onto stage to play what song was it? Monkey Wrench or something like that. I mean, it's like, dude, what is going on here? He's just, I mean, that is someone I aspire to be just like. I mean,
well, I hope that you do get Dave Grohl on this show. because that would be an awesome conversation based on everything you've just said. The excitement level would be huge. Because I'm sure he would return that, you know, like he seems like the type of dude that just bounces that excitement right back.
Yeah. You know, in wrestling terms, we call people who, you know, freak out or whatever it's called, marking out. And I would not be able to hold my excitement. I would completely mark out and be a 13-year-old girl going, "Oh my God, it's Dave Grohl!" You know, it's like I would touch my camera, going, "Oh, it's Dave Grohl."
I can feel your face.
Virtually, I can do it.
That's awesome. That's awesome. That's awesome. I love it. I mean, you gotta even as a grown man have those people that you could totally fangirl over.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Because why not? Why not?
Yeah.
Gets you that excited. It's important.
Damn, now we've gone to 2 hours. We were trying to wrap it up in an hour and a half, and now we want it longer.
I'll stop speaking. I'm gonna.
No. It's fine. It's my show. I don't report to anybody. I don't care. But damn, dude. I mean, again, it's people like you that make my job fun and want to continue on. I mean, and everybody I've ever talked to, you know, is always, like I said, I've never gotten somebody pissed off at me with some of the questions I've asked. Because again, it's not. I don't like talking about it being an interview. I like it just being a conversation. Exactly, and that's when we get the most raw and we get the most real.
Definitely. Well, I'm glad you didn't read past the first paragraph or first few sentences of the press pack. Then it clearly works out.
Yep. All I read was 1956 Stratocaster Eric Clapton. That's all I knew.
That's all you got to know.
That's all I knew. That's all I needed to know.
A guitar that you don't like, and an artist that you don't really like.
I didn't say I don't like you.
No, I'm saying Eric Clapton. You don't. Eric Clapton.
No. I like Eric Clapton. I just am not a fan of him past.
Not a big fan.
Well, I'm not a big fan. Now Derek and the Dominoes. I'm a fan of.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Well,
but
but. And you know what I mean.
Yeah.
An artist you're not super hyped on that. And a guitar that you don't like to play. There you go.
You know,
that's all you need to know. That's all you need to know.
His song, his most famous song, "Tears in Heaven."
Right.
And the reason why, and it makes me laugh to this day. There's a you know why that song was written, right?
Yeah. That song has a crazy story behind it. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a comedian named Anthony Jeselnik. Have you ever heard of him?
Nope.
He tells a joke about Eric Clapton in that song. And the joke goes like this, and people might not have heard this joke before. Maybe they have, but it's so fucked up, but it's so good. And he's like, I had a son once. But unfortunately he died. The same way Eric Clapton's son died. For inspiration. See?
Oh man.
Exactly. And then he goes to explain the joke about why it's funny. He goes, first off, you have to know who Eric Clapton is, which is not easy these days. You have to know about that fucking song, and you have to know about his son he goes, you have to know about his son, that clumsy little fucker that he was.
Oh my God.
So
oh man.
Yeah. It's bad. That's a lot. That's a lot. He goes, that joke is like an onion. You just have to keep pulling back the layers. And it's so wrong to laugh at. But that's what Anthony Jeselnik does. He's a comedian that just doesn't care. And if you ever get an opportunity, listen to his stuff. It's on Amazon, especially that joke. It's not on Amazon. I'm sorry, Netflix. The name of the comedy special is called Caligula. It's, let me tell you what, if you're not offended by the end of that comedy special, but laughing at the same time, you just didn't get it. So whenever I talk about Eric Clapton, that's all
offended and laughing. Okay.
Exactly. And whenever I talk about Eric Clapton now, that's all I hear or see in the back of my head. I don't see, him playing Tears in Heaven acoustically on MTV. No, I see Anthony Jeselnik making his joke about that, and then he goes, "See, now that joke just tests how cool you are, because if you laugh at that joke, the rest of the show is going to be easy."
Okay, you're reminding me that I have to ask. So you don't like Strat that much. You're not a huge fan of Clapton post Derek and the Dominoes. How do you feel? I mean, I can guess, but how do you feel about Jimi Hendrix and SRV with the Strats? Just full.
He did something with a Stratocaster that I don't think it could ever be replicated.
SRV or Jimi Hendrix?
Jimi Hendrix. Yeah. SRV, but Hendrix, that guy. I interviewed a guy not too long ago that's actually writing or making a movie. It's a biopic about Hendrix.
That's awesome.
The movie, the short film Experience, that was done about Jimi Hendrix back in the 60s, was actually written and directed by this guy. So this guy was a personal friend of Hendrix.
Cool.
And he's now making another movie based on a biography that he wrote about him. And him and I just literally talked for 2 hours about Hendrix. And it's a dude, nobody could ever do with a Stratocaster what he did.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I love Jimmy. I love Hendrix. I'm not but SRV, but Hendrix, man, love him.
Yeah, he's totally unchained and just going for everything. And sometimes it sounds like for a second it's going to be a total train wreck, and then it becomes a beautiful, just fucking, I don't even know what to call it, just beautiful piece of guitar mania.
But on top of that, I mean, what I loved about Jimmy the most, and he could do things with a guitar that most people could never even think about doing. But he was so ahead of his time lyrically. Yeah. You can go back and listen to some of his stuff from the 60s. I mean, he's been dead nearly 50 years. And the stuff that he was writing about and singing about back then still apply today. And it's just like, wow.
Yeah.
I mean, way ahead of his time. Way ahead of his time.
Yeah.
And and he let the machine, he's a prime example of somebody letting the machine get to him. Because the machine tried to take control and he couldn't fight back, and he dove into drugs, and he ended up, dead because of it. Because that was a prime example of what we've been talking about this whole entire time. People just having too many hands in the pot, trying to control things. And, people knew how big he was going to be. And unfortunately, because of those people, he ended up dead. Yeah, pretty wild. Pretty wild. Yeah. And I guess that's why I'm so passionate about the way I talk about music, is because I saw somebody so great, Joplin as well, die, from the curse of 27. When they had so much potential, but people just kept feeding them drugs, kept feeding them bullshit, kept trying to change them, kept trying to do this, kept trying to do that, and they just ended up killing them. And that's why I'm so passionate about it.
It's pretty sad stuff.
It really is.
Pretty sad stuff.
Yeah.
Like I said, I think it's a lot to put something out there, whether you're just playing the guitar or the music, or writing a song that's you feel so connected to, that becomes a part of who you are, putting it out there on the line. It's a high risk maneuver right there, for sure. And I think all these situations definitely show you. But I'm glad you appreciate Hendrix. I'm a big fan of SRV too. I love how they play the Stratocasters. I love just like totally how unhinged they are, and how it seems like it's totally about the emotion. There's nothing like that seems too premeditated going on. There's nothing that seems too, like someone thinking about theory. It just seems like it's all about the feeling. Yeah. Which I love. I love that in music.
Yeah. And so do I. I really do. I mean, because one of the things I do on the show also is I bring on musical guests, and I do performances as well.
Right.
And I'll literally give them an hour to just play. But but I enjoy bringing on the local acts, the unsigned acts.
Totally.
I mean, I can't even tell you how many bands I've had on this show performing over the last 2 months. I mean, some of them put on great performances, some of them I put on performances. Because the one thing that sucks about this, setup is I can't control their audio in any which way, shape, or form.
Right. So you get a huge variation of
I mean,
things. Yeah.
So we do sound checks, and I'll say, hey, adjust this, and adjust your toms, adjust your bass, adjust da, 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 da. But at the same time, it's up to them to kind of produce quality material in it.
Right.
And I'm sitting there, it'll sound good during sound check, and then they start playing. It's like, oh.
Yeah.
It sucked.
It's hard to stream. It's hard to stream, especially full band, mic'd up over the internet. It's difficult.
But the ones that have done it right, whoo, have just killed it.
That's awesome.
Absolutely killed it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I love this. I love what I do, and
I can tell.
I
can tell. I mean, that's fucking awesome, though. I think it's cool to talk to anyone about anything if they are passionate about it.
Exactly. I mean, I had
what it is.
Yeah, God, a couple weeks back, I had the lady who created the Crock Pot Moms internet blog. I mean, nothing crazy, but I mean, she's now, she's, because of that blog, she's gone on TV and cooked for Chrissy Teigen, and she's coming out with her own TV show and stuff like that. So, all this cool stuff she's got going on, all because of a blog that she was passionate about, because she was she was working a full-time job, had 2 kids, didn't have time to cook, so she decided to crock pot everything and blogged about it, and now she's famous because of it. And I literally had a conversation with her about an hour and a half just about life and food and this, and it's like,
right. And you don't have to know anything about it. You don't have to know anything, just...
No. The only thing I knew about it is my wife religiously follows that blog because she loves crockpot cooking. So it's like I knew who she was.
She's like, you're interviewing the crockpot cooking?
Yes, I was.
That's fucking crazy.
It was fun. But that's what I mean. It's just, I don't care who you are, because everybody has a story.
Totally.
And I just want to hear that story, and I'm a megaphone for you to tell that story. And that's how I view it. And I
love it.
When you come to grips with that, and you get raw and real, and it's magic. Totally agree. And 2 hours and 4 minutes go by, and you're like, damn, it's really no way it's been this long. And
could have been 15.
It could have been. It's how it felt.
Could have been 15.
I mean, with the exception of the first 5-6 minutes when my computer crapped out on me.
I totally forgot about it already. So that's how much of a non-issue it was.
My bipolar, anxiety-ridden brain is like, oh crap, people are gonna judge me.
I feel you. You.
As soon as I saw my screen freeze, I started checking my phone and looking at my TV and my other computer, making sure that the intro was actually still playing. And I'm like, oh shit. And I quickly logged into the app, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna have to do this from the phone for a second. Which, by the way, StreamYard, thank you very much for having a mobile version. God.
It was a savior today.
It really was.
And it looked great.
Yeah. But dude, let me just tell you what. You are a badass, and I appreciate this time, man.
Thank you. I appreciate you so much for having me on, and thanks for the good talk. Hope to do it again sometime.
Oh, absolutely, brother. I mean, when you start touring again, or whenever the case might be, or you've got something going on, dude, you just hit me up, and I'll be more than happy to bring you back on.
Will do. Well, good luck. Good luck with your next many episodes, and hopefully you don't have another 24-hour stream, which, by the way, has inspired me to work harder, knowing that you did that.
When I got done, my wife was like, "Do you feel better now? Did you enjoy that?"
Yeah,
I'm like,
for God's sake, really put yourself through it right there."
I went upstairs and just crashed in my bed, turned on American Dad, and just passed out.
That's the only response after you've done something like that.
Yeah, but it was fun, and now I'm actually gonna sleep normal night tonight and wake up and do this whole thing all over again.
I love it. But
again, dude, Simon, you're a badass, and I appreciate the time that you spent with me tonight.
Thanks so much. Thanks for having me, and I will talk to you hopefully soon.
Absolutely, brother, man. You have a good one now.
All right, brother.
Thanks, man. All right, man. Thank you very much, guys, for joining me on this exciting Monday. It's been fun. 22-hour stream, mental health hour, Simon Lunche. This is why I do it, man. This is why I do it. But thank you very much for joining me on today's wild ride. Come back tomorrow. What do I got tomorrow? I have... Hold on. Let me pull up her bio real quick. Where's it at? Oh, there it is. The founder and PR rep for Envision Indie Coalition. Her name is Cindy D'Amo. Yeah, another fun interview, another fun musical guest who has her hand on a lot of indie bands and a lot of PR stuff. And so another fun addition to the show. It should be really, really fun. So come back tomorrow to talk to Cindy D'Amo. And then I have another week lined up of just awesomeness. And then Friday we close it out with an amazing guest and a performance. So, I mean, just stick along for this wild ride that is Suck It Podcast. Suck It Talk Show. Suck It, whatever you want to call it. But either way, stay happy, stay healthy, and as always, stay fucking heavy. We'll see you tomorrow. Peace.